Everyone has a fear of failure in some shape or form. It's human nature to be scared when you leave your comfort zone, but you need to deal with that fear whenever you try something new, or if you want to be really good at what you do. In order to be remarkable, you will have to fail more than those around you. This video will go over why you have a fear of failure and 3 ways to overcome that fear. Although having a fear of failure is human nature, it's not something we have from birth. You may or may not remember, but when you were really young, you didn't have a fear of failure. When you were a kid, you never feared learning how to walk. The results didn't matter to you. It didn't matter if you fell once, or twice, or a dozen times. You kept going and tried walking until you could do it. The idea of giving up never even crossed your mind back then. So why is it that most people give up after a few failures later on in life? It's clear that being fearful of failure and avoiding it is something we learn later in life. There are 2 common scenarios that might lead to you learning this fear. The first scenario is that you learn that it's embarrassing to fail, and people might hold it against you, which leads to you sticking to your comfort zone. Being worried about what other people think leads you to develop a fear of failure, because you fear failing will change everyone's opinions on you. The other scenario is that your ego and identity starts being wrapped up in what you are doing, and when things don't go your way, you feel like you might die. This scenario commonly happens to those who try new things, like entrepreneurship. So how can we use failure to our advantage instead of being afraid of it? Here are 3 ways to overcome a fear of failure. 1. Stop worrying about what other people think. If you ever created something and put it out there for the world to see, you're probably worried about what other people thought. Every artist appreciates good feedback, but when they get negative feedback, it hurts a lot. It only takes one bad remark to ruin your day, even if you're surrounded by positive feedback. In order to start something important to you, or get good at something, you need to stop caring about what other people think. The thoughts of other people are impossible for you to control, so you should stop worrying about them. It's impossible to get the approval of everyone, so stop trying. Instead of focusing your energy on things you can't control, you should focus your energy on things you can control. Your body of work is something you can control, and it's something you can keep working on. Focus on what you have to do and keep going, instead of focusing on what other people think, and you will find it easier to ignore the opinions of others. 2. Reframe your goals or how you view success. Some people measure their success by their ability to avoid mistakes. That way of thinking only amplifies your fear of failure, since you see failure or mistakes as something that you must not encounter. Instead, you want to measure your success by your ability to show up and keep going. The people who are at the top of their craft are successful because they showed up every day and kept failing. You have to learn how to fail without concern. Besides, you learn the most from failure or mistakes. You can also reframe your goals to get the same result. If your goal was to earn 100k from your new product launch, you can expand your goal to learn something new about launching a product. You can still target that 100k goal, but now, in your mind, you can't really fail unless you really learn nothing new from launching a product. Regardless of whether you reach that 100k target, you should be able to learn something new. 3. Ask yourself these powerful questions. This method is something to be used when you experience failure and you want to give up. First, what did you learn from this failure? Second, how can you grow as a person from this experience? Third, list at least 3 positive things about the situation. The first question shouldn't be too difficult to answer, since there are a lot of things to be learned from failing. You learn what works and what doesn't. The second question shouldn't be too hard to answer either, since it's an extension of the first question. Failure can help you grow as a person. It's up to you to see how. When you get to the last question though, it can be a bit hard to answer. Finding positives in a failure is hard, and your mind will resist, especially since you've viewed failure in a negative light before. You need to stick with it, and try to give at least 3 positives so you can see new opportunities. For example, if you are fired from your job, you can say a positive is that you now have the time to work on something else you're passionate about, to hopefully create a different career. There are always new opportunities that open up from a failure, and the point of this exercise is to help you see those opportunities. Failure may be unpleasant, but it is necessary to be remarkable. Don't be afraid of it. and many amazing opportunities will open up. Which method did you like? Leave a comment below and check out the video shown on the end screen if you enjoyed this video and want more.